Are you thinking about moving from California to Texas? In particular, maybe the Dallas-Fort Worth area? Well, then this video is for you. We're going to go over everything you need to know about making your move from California right here to Dallas-Fort Worth.
We moved here almost 16 years ago, and we have helped tons of people.
Hundreds.
Yes, relocate from California to Texas. It really isn't as different as you think.
And we absolutely love what we're doing. So if this is something that you're interested in the slightest bit, make sure you hit that subscribe button, that bell, so you're alerted every time we do a video. We get calls on a daily basis from people just like yourself wanting to relocate from California to Texas, and that's exactly what we specialize in.
Yeah, and if we knew then what we know now, we would have done a few things differently. So this is kind of where this video comes in. We just want to tell people kind of some things that we wish we knew before we got here.
Absolutely. So let's jump on into it. Let's go over the big elephant in the room, and that is the cost of living. Cost of living, no secret, California is the most expensive state to live in, and Texas is considerably cheaper. That's a given. But what exactly does that mean, and where does it all break down?
Yeah.
The number one thing that affects the cost of living is housing. In Dallas, you're going to get twice as much house for half the price. But it's not as cheap as everybody thinks.
No, it really isn't.
The suburbs, just to give you an idea, we often like to compare, because we're originally from Orange County, we like to compare Irvine and Frisco, Texas, because been there, done that with both of them, right? So, and the average price in Irvine, California, is $865,000. Do you know what the average price in Frisco, Texas is?
What is it?
$404,000.
Well, that is half, pretty much.
And the difference is that in Irvine, that $865,000 is going to get you what? 2,000 square foot house.
Yeah, if even that.
In Frisco, that $404,000 is going to get you a 3,500 square foot house.
But Andy, you're closer to the beach.
Absolutely. I mean, you're not going to get any argument from us. California is absolutely beautiful, and when we talk about beaches, first of all, we don't have any, right? The closest beaches in Texas are Galveston, and they are California. They're not California. So what we end up doing when we want to go to a beach, if we're not in California, because we do have a team out there in California as well, we head over into Florida in that Destin area, and oh my gosh, beautiful beaches with turquoise water.
White
fantastic. Fantastic. What are some of the pros of living in this Dallas, Texas area?
Well, one of the main ones for us, not so much anymore because our kids are getting older, but the school districts are amazing out here.
School districts are absolutely amazing. You're going to have between 60 and 70 ISD school districts in the suburbs all around DFW that are going to be A+ rating. One of the big differentials, I would say, is not only are the schools highly rated, but your teacher to student ratio is half. Really, you're looking at 15 to 1, 16 to 1 on average, whereas our experience in California was 30, 35 to 1. Okay, so we're talking about the cost of living, and one of the things, not only housing, but the thing that we get all the time is, what about salaries? Again, we're going to compare the average household income in Irvine to Frisco. And people are often shocked at how much people make actually in this Dallas-Fort Worth area. But just to give you an example, in Irvine, the average household income is $101,000. Do you know, Patrice, what the average household income is in Frisco, Texas?
It's around $112,000.
Yep. So you actually make more for very technology driven. Tons of corporations are moving here with high paying jobs because of the workforce, highly educated workforce. And it's just a great environment to be in. But there is a downside when it comes to salaries. Where Texas does lack is in those first responders. Things like, and not even just first responders, but just the heroes in this society, right? The teachers, the nurses, the police and fire. Those jobs generally make a little bit less. It's not as drastic as some people think. The average salary for a teacher in Irvine, California is just over $65,000. And the average for Frisco is what?
It's around 57.
So it's not terrible, but I think that 57 in Frisco kind of caps out right there around that 65,000 mark. Whereas I know on the high end of Irvine and the teachers in California, they make $95,000 a year. So that's where you can really see a big difference. Same thing with nurses, police, and fire. There's just a fractional on the average, but on the upside, I think you have much higher upside on the California side.
So it's not all about cost of living.
That's right.
The one question we get a lot is about our weather. Oh my gosh, it's so hot. Oh my gosh, there's so much humidity. Yes, it gets hot. Yes, we do get some humidity, but we don't get a lot of humidity. That's more south. Houston area gets quite a bit of humidity. It does get hot here in July and August.
It does. There's no secret about it.
No.
Right?
Now, if you're like me, love the heat. I love it because at night it stays warm, so we could be out in our shorts and our tank tops, and you don't have to worry about taking a jacket, so that's nice. But we do get some crazy weather once in a while, as you probably all have heard.
February storms were absolutely insane. I mean, we're not prepared for that. Hopefully Texas learned their lessons and the powers that be. But yeah, Patrice is right. It could be a pro or a con, the weather.
Yeah.
Are we going to beat California weather? No. Is anybody? No. So if you're considering moving out of California, anywhere in the United States, guess what? Weather is going to take a downgrade.
Well, and it also depends on where in California you live, because I know there's parts that get hotter than we do. So for some people, they may be like, that's no big deal.
Yeah.
But the humidity is not that big of a deal. We get a few days where it's kind of muggy and stuff, but for the most part, it's not so bad.
Yeah, and Texas is much like California, gets a bad rap, right? We get all lumped into one thing, and like Patrice was saying, the humidity and all that stuff is really down south in the Houston and towards the Gulf. Up here in Dallas, we're North Texas, and it's completely different environment. I mean, everybody knows how huge Texas is. It's like comparing Southern California to Las Vegas. It's the same distance, right, to Houston.
Very big.
Yeah, Houston might as well be another state away. So, we do tend to get thrown into one big giant mixing bowl.
Yeah.
But the weather is going to take a backseat to California, pretty much straight across the board. But like Patrice was saying, one of the nice things about the summers here is that when the sun does go down, it's still shorts, flip-flop weather, and t-shirts all night in the patio. You don't have to worry about bundling up or getting cold or anything like that. It's nice and very comfortable.
Yep.
So one of the other questions that we get regarding weather kind of relates is the natural disasters, and in particular tornadoes, right? So tornadoes is like the big thing. I kind of, in the 15 years that we have lived here, we have never experienced a tornado.
No.
Let's knock on wood.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that they don't happen. So oftentimes what we do is we get tornado warnings. And that just means that there's circulation in the air. It's very rare that they actually do touch down. And when they do touch down, they touch down on a very minimal sizes of territory is impacted. That first year or two when you're living here, you're going to freak out, right? You're going to hear the tornado sirens, you're going to watch the news, and you're going to see that it's going to be coming through your area in the next 45 minutes, and you get nervous and all that good stuff. But then once you realize they don't really touch down all that often, and they're pretty small and mild, it's kind of like, after a while living in California, you just don't worry about earthquakes, right? You just kind of go with the flow, and it is what it is. If the big one's going to happen, the big one's going to happen, and that's sort of how I feel about tornadoes.
Except for the nice thing is about a tornado is you have some warning, so you know when it's coming, as opposed to an earthquake when you don't know it's coming, it just hits.
Exactly, and so you can prepare and be safe, So it is something that we do have to deal with. We're on the very bottom tip of tornado alley. We're not Oklahoma. We are not Kansas. This isn't Wizard of Oz or anything like that. But it is something that we need to be aware of.
Yeah, but you know what? We do not have basements. That's one thing people like. Why don't we have basements? We just don't. We can't
Because the
because
soil
of the soil.
sucks. It's clay soil. So that's another thing. Building pools, and it's a little more expensive. People are often shocked. In California, you can build a nice pool, $40,000. Here it's going to be twice that, just because of the infrastructure that they need to do in order for you not to get cracks and that sort of thing. Here's another elephant in the room, the questions that we get all the time. Remember, we have helped hundreds of people just like yourself from California move out here to Dallas, and one of the number one questions we get outside of weather and salaries is
property taxes.
Property taxes, right? Yes, our property taxes are higher than they are in California. In California, they're just over 1%. Here in Frisco, it's just at 2%, so twice as much. But like I said, you get twice the house for half the cost, right? So your property taxes are going to be generally about the same. That's what our clients tell us, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're buying that 2,000 square foot house in California for $900,000, your property taxes are going to be about $9,000, right? Out here, you're buying that house for $450,000, your property taxes are going to be around that $9,000.
That's right.
Big difference is that we don't have state income tax.
It's true.
Yeah.
That does
so
help.
you are saving on that part, that which helps in the cost of living. But again, it's not as dramatic as many people think. The one nice thing about moving to Texas and in this Dallas area is that a lot of our clients that are moving here are moving and escaping that political scene. You do have much more freedom, and it is, if you're an entrepreneur, there's no better place in the entire union than to be right here in Dallas, Fort Worth. So we hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, we have been there, done that. We relocated here from California, Orange County, born and raised, very proud, and we moved out here 15 years ago. It was the best decision that we ever made. Since then, we have helped hundreds of people relocate here to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and we absolutely love it. This channel is all about living, playing, working in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So if this is something that you're interested in, make sure you hit that subscribe button, that bell, so you're alerted every time we do a video.
Yeah, and don't forget to give us a call, text, or email. Whatever you need to do to get a hold of us, just get a hold of us, and we'd be happy to chat with you and answer any questions that you may have.
Absolutely. Our whole system and processes are designed to help you relocate from California to Texas. So until the next time, I'm Andy.
And I'm Patrice.
Take care.